Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 261. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, most of the places on the internet that you would look for me. I will pop in a little screen here letting you know where you can find me and how to contact me. And also where you can find the podcast and such, and show notes, things like that. Okay, how are you? Today is Thursday, the 19th of October, and I'm a little rough around the edges today. My son and I went out to dinner last night, and it was fine. We had a good time, and I had a really good meal, and then I came home, and whatever I ate, something did not agree with me. So it was a rough night, didn't get a lot of sleep, spent a lot of time in the bathroom. And we'll just leave it at that. It's been a tea and saltines kind of morning, if you get my drift. So anyway, but I didn't want to not record because I told you I was going to record this week. And I do have a lot of knitting to show you, actually. So it's been a good week from that aspect. What's really funny is I sat down about a half hour ago. I was going to record, and I needed to go get some stuff, and I was bringing it in here, and right as I was coming through the living room, Tippy was in the middle of the living room with a chipmunk. Are you getting tired of my chipmunk stories? I'm sorry. I'm going to take a little break here and tell you this chipmunk story real fast just because it just happened and I need to like debrief it, and my husband's at work and he's busy and I can't call him. So lucky you. Chipmunk. I mean, she's still a kitten. Like, she's getting bigger, but like she had this chipmunk by the tail, and he was not a happy chipmunk. And he was sort of weighty because he was a big chipmunk. And she had him, and I'm like, Tippy, no! And so I ran and I grabbed our container. We just keep this container out now all the time because it's easier than having to find it when we need it to capture critters. So I grabbed the container and I ran over, and actually I didn't run over. I went over slow. I'm like, Tippy? Like, I was hoping she wouldn't run because if I could grab her, I figured I could get the chipmunk. Well, she took off. And at one point she did drop the chipmunk, so he skittered across the floor. Well, I've got the furnace running now, so our baseboard heaters are all warm, and so he did not crawl up in the heaters, which was actually a good thing, because that's the last thing I need is cooked chipmunk. So he's instead like skittering all around the edges of the floor, and you know, he found the treadmill, and he went under the treadmill, which was his safe place. And it was safe because I could not get him from under there. So then Tippy kept going under there, and at first I was like, no, Tippy, no. And then I realized she was kind of scooting him out of there, and I thought, okay, yes, get your toy out of there. Get your little friend. And I had so many near misses catching this little thing. In the meantime, Muffin's standing there like, oh my gosh, here you guys go again. She's like, I'm not a part of this. And she walked away and wouldn't even take part, which was fine. And then there's our big cat, Polly, who he's just sitting there very patiently watching all this transpire. And then all of a sudden at one point, oh, this was so funny. Okay, so the chipmunk ran down the hallway and jumped into the dog bed, which is not where Muffin was. And so I thought, excellent, I should be able to catch him down there. And so I got him. I got down there, and right as he was starting to run down the hall, I put the container down, and he ran into it, but before I could get the lid on, he came back out. So missed him there. But then he ran down the hall, and we still have the Have-A-Heart trap sitting out, and it's been, like, you know, set. Not because we've had a specific animal in the house, but we just thought, well, hey, it's here. There's lots of peanut butter in it from the last time we used it. We'll just leave it set because who knows? Somebody could bring somebody in the middle of the night, and maybe it'll just go in there. That has not happened yet, but we have used it a couple of other times during, like, when we were around because things have gotten in the house. So it's definitely come in handy. So anyway, oh, I thought that was a bird at the window. It's a leaf. Anyway, so he runs down the hall, but he banged his head into the door because earlier today I was in the office and I heard this terrible racket, and I knew it was the trap, and I thought, oh, somebody brought something in. I need to go see what it is. It was Tippy. Tippy crawled into the trap, and I'm telling you, this is a small trap, and she's getting to be big, and she just had enough room to squeeze in there and set it off. It was so funny. I actually have a picture of it. If I remember, I'll try to put it in. Anyway, because I had to take a picture before I let her out of the trap. But I didn't reset the trap at that point because I thought, oh, we haven't needed it lately. silly me. And so he banged into this closed trap, and I'm like, of course, if I would have said it, he would be in there. So anyway, I'm chasing him around. Then Polly gets in on the act, and he starts chasing him. Now, he's a big cat. He weighs like, I don't know, 13 pounds, something like that. He was going to hurt this chipmunk if he really got him. But he got him a couple of times, and I like grabbed him, and he's growling at me, and I'm like, drop it, drop it, drop it. And he would drop it, but I could never catch it. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to set this trap. Because the chipmunk was kind of making the same circuit. So I set the trap, and I set it up right at the end of where the treadmill is along the wall. And lo and behold, at one point, Polly was going after him, and he ran, and he went right in the trap. I'm like, yes! That may have been the easiest capture that I've done so far, even though I was completely exhausted by the end of it because it took like 20 minutes and I was overheated because I had a sweater on at the time and I'm not feeling good and it was crazy. So I took him outside across the road where I was going to set him free in the tall grass and I let him go, and the next thing I know, I turn around to come back across the road and there he is scampering down the middle of the road. I'm like, are you kidding me? Get off the road. I just saved you. And then he did go back into the weeds. But it's like, do you have a death wish? Craziness. Just craziness. In the meantime, he also kept running under the couch. So I kept moving our couch because we have wood floors. It's real easy to move around. So I kept scooting the couch around, which revealed a whole bunch of like cat toys that had gone under there. And so as soon as Tippy saw the cat toy, she's like, cat toys! And she totally forgot about the chipmunk, which was helpful, actually. So then I'm putting everything back together once ever I get back in the house, you know, pick up my Tupperware container and my gloves. And I had those tongs, like grill tongs. I was trying to get them. I don't know. So I'm putting all this stuff away. And then I went to move the couch back. And I thought, you know, Winnie, our crabby old lady cat who doesn't really like anybody, especially Tippy though, she has been sleeping on that couch but under the cat blanket. We have this big blanket on the couch that the cats usually sleep on, but she's been crawling under it, which Tippy finds really, really fun because she knows now that that lump on the couch is Winnie. So she gets up there and then she just suddenly pounces on Winnie and then the couch starts to growl. It's really kind of funny. Probably not for Winnie, but, you know, she's crabby, like I said. Anyway, I thought, I wonder if Winnie's here. And I looked, and lo and behold, Winnie was underneath this blanket the entire time that I am pushing this couch around our living room. And she never budged. She never said anything. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is my life. These crazy cats and rodents and just nutsiness. So that's what I did right before I sat down to record, which is why I'm looking a little disheveled. At least I'm looking like that to me. My hair looked a little better before the great chase, but you're getting what you're getting today. So that was my morning, and now I'm going to talk to you about knitting because, like I said, I've got a lot of knitting to show you. And the first thing you might be seeing here, peeking out behind me, is my hero. It's sort of done, but not. You may have seen my posts on Instagram, which I think I posted. Yeah, I posted it to my regular account, my Fiber Nymph account, when I finished the knitting of it the other day. And if I remember, I will also put that picture in here so you can see it. Okay, so it's done. It has some problems, not insurmountable problems. They're all things I can take care of, but it's got issues. So let's go through them. The first issue was color. So here it is, you know, it's lovely glory, looking weird because it's got all that stitch area there. The first issue is, remember, I was like crazy in love with this blue color, and I'm like, I want that up by my face. That's the color I want up at the top. And I did that. I did the modification so I could squeeze it in, and I put it on, and I'm like, nope, nope, I do not like that at all. Now, looking at it on the camera right here, it doesn't look bad. But when I'm actually wearing it, I don't like it. It's just, it's so bright compared to all these other colors. It looks out of place. And I had a lot of agreement on that on Instagram. And a couple of other people I talked to about it, you know, they agreed. It does not look right. I think if it had just been this charcoal gray with the blue, like that, like on the sleeve, because that's where I fell in love with it. I think that would have been great if it would just been like a 2-color sweater. but having all these darker colors in here, it just does not go as well as I thought it was going to go. Maybe if I would have mixed it in between these other colors, it would have. But when I didn't need to do that because I ended up having enough yarn to do the full color work segments from the chart with one ball, I just didn't have a reason to do that. So anyway, I don't like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this top part out, all the blues coming out. So down to these first little blips of blue that are in this second purple. That's all going to come out. And that won't be hard. And I'm going to just reknit it using the third color. Like there will be a couple more rows where there will be some blips of this color instead of this blue. I guess just one. Yeah. Anywhere there's color work with that purple and the blue up at the top, that'll be the purple and the turquoise. And then I'll finish it off with this second purple. That'll be up by my face. That won't be difficult to do. It was really easy knitting. The problem is, since I changed where my decrease rounds were and I added 2 extra decrease rounds, when I'm ripping out, I need to make sure I'm paying attention to where those were so that I can put them back in the same place, because this fits me really well across the shoulders. Remember, that was my biggest issue that I was worried about. I wanted to make sure this fit well, and it does. It fits perfectly across here. So I want to be able to recreate my decrease rounds appropriate in the right places. It was funny because I added 2 extra decrease rounds, but then whenever I got up here to the top part, I ended up having to leave out a decrease round because I was already at too few stitches for even like the smallest size. But then when I got to the next decrease round, I was spot on. So it all worked out. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to get rid of the blue, going to just finish it in purple, and I think I'll like it. This did have short rows in the back, which brings the back up, which was nice. I like how that worked. I think I'm going to stop, though, a little sooner. I may do the short rows sooner is what I mean, and then do the neckband a little sooner, and maybe not quite as tall. This is a little over an inch. I may do it a little shorter because it really does come up high. Now, when it's a cardigan, I can leave it open. It won't be a big deal. But I don't like things super, super tight on my neck. But that's minor. I can adjust that. I'm not worried about that. So anyway, that was my number 1 biggest issue. Number 2 big issue is the sleeves ended up being too long, which is weird because I was trying those on pretty well. But they ended up being about 1.5 inches too long. So if I wear them like this, like with the ribbing turned up under, they're okay. But that makes this part of the sweater super, super thick. And it was already, the color work part was already a little tight to begin with. And the other thing is that my ribbing kind of boinks out. Like when I was wearing it, the ribbing was boinking out over the color work because everything was bunching up because the sleeves are too long. So what I'm going to do, because I'm no longer going to have blue up at the top, I don't really want the blue at the bottom of the sleeves. And the other thing was wearing it, like looking at it, I thought it looked really kind of funny having these blips of blue down by my butt. And so I think I'll be happier without color work at the bottom of the sleeves. Anyway, as much as I really like this motif. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the sleeves off right above the color work. And I'm just going to pick those stitches up and knit downward ribbing in gray and be done. So it'll be this long, so it'll be the right amount of length. But without the color work and without any other extra colors. So that will be an easy fix. That's actually probably the easiest fix of the 3 issues. So getting rid of the blue up at the top, reknitting that, getting rid of the extra length and the blue at the bottom. That's the second issue. And then the third issue is this ended up being super wide, like really, really wide. As I've mentioned before, I did the bottom half of the sweater in a size larger, and then I went down a size for the top part. That worked fine, and I like through the color work, it's fine. So I'm glad with that decision. However, I think what the issue was, it wasn't so much the sizes that I chose, but the fact that my gauge ended up being off, and I don't know how I missed that. Because I purposely was knitting on 7s, purling back on 5s, doing the body, because that was giving me gauge. And then I sat the sweater down for several months because I started this back in March. And I think I just never bothered to check my gauge again. So when I picked it back up, I went about knitting it, but I never checked to make sure I was still getting gauge. And sometimes whenever you leave a project sit for a long time like that, your gauge changes, right? And it changed. I was supposed to be getting 4 1/4 stitches per inch. I ended up getting 3 3/4 stitches per inch. No, I was supposed to be getting 4 1/2 stitches, not 4 1/4. Yeah, because I was getting 3/4 of a stitch less than I should have been getting. And that worked out to be about 8 extra inches over the circumference of the sweater. So yeah, it's full. Here's what I'm going to do. It's actually most noticeable in the front. The back is definitely looser than it needs to be, but I'm broad across the back, so that always sort of helps to mitigate that kind of an issue, so I'm not worried about the back. The problem with the front is that because my arms, are kind of moving forward a lot and everything, it's bunching up a lot in the front, and so that's a problem. Plus, I mean, obviously right now I've got these 3 steek stitches in here, which is about an extra, almost an inch of extra fabric. But even not with that there's a good 4 inches that can go away. Because I'm going to be putting button bands on it, which will add another little over an inch back into it, right? What I'm going to do, since I was going to steek it anyway, instead of steeking it down the middle and then adding my button bands, I'm going to measure over 2 inches from either side of the edge of these steek stitches. So I'll be cutting out this entire big section. Like I'm just going to take a chunk out of the center of my sweater, like down the fronts, just take it out. That sounds scary and weird, but I think it'll work. I've been thinking about this for several days now, and I see no downside to doing that. Somebody on Instagram did comment like, well, isn't that going to leave the back of your sweater really big? And yes, it will be larger. But like I said, I'm not too worried about that just because, I'm broader across the back and it'll be fine. It's not uncomfortable in the back, but it is uncomfortably big in the front. So that's the third fix. I'm going to be excising a big chunk of this front of the sweater. But I can't do that until I fix the top. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the sleeves. Then I'll fix the color work up at the top, change the color, and then I'll do that last bit. So I'm not doing any of this though until after November 1st because all of this, none of this is going to be difficult, I don't think. It's just going to take time and focus, and I've got way too much going on between now and November 1st to even try. So we're going to take some time away from each other, and that's fine because it's not an I'm mad at you kind of time out. It's just that we need to do this, but we both need to look at our schedules and see when's good for us. So that's how this is going to go. I will tell you, I did do some modifications because the way they have you doing this in the pattern, this is, by the way, the Hero cardigan by Julia Farwell Clay. I didn't say that because I've said it so many times. It is written to do the button bands separately, like you knit them separately and then you join them to the fronts. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to knit them directly on. And the same way you were supposed to leave the live stitches up at the top after the knitting and not put the neckband on until you had the button bands on or something. I just did the neckband, and that's how I'm going to do it again. I see no reason to wait. It'll be fine. I don't care if my neckband comes over the top of my button bands. I've got other sweaters where that's not the case, so I don't know why it's a big deal. Anyway, the only other issue somebody did point out on Instagram was the fact that the top of the sleeves, like right here, pretty much where the gray and the color work start to come together, looks kind of poofy. And it does. You can kind of see it in that picture that I hopefully remembered to put in. I think a lot of that, it's coming from 2 reasons. Number one, this isn't blocked yet. Once this is blocked, the color work's going to lay flatter. Right now, the color work is just, it's decent, the tension's decent, but color work needs to be blocked to lay right. So once I block it, I think that will help. It'll be laying much more smoothly. But the other reason it was looking real boinky like that was because the sleeves are too long and they were bunched up, and so that was pushing up, causing extra fabric up there. Because like I said, it really does feel like it fits very well across my shoulders. So Anyway, that's the story with the hero cardigan. That is not yet a cardigan, but it will be. I still love it, and that's the thing. I have loved working on this. I love the color work. I love the colors I chose, except for the blue. I still like the blue, I just don't like it with this sweater. But I love it too much to end up with a sweater that's just an okay sweater. I want it to be an I love this sweater, not an I'm okay with this sweater. So I'm going to just take the time I need to fix it, and it'll be fine, but not until November. So in the meantime, once I finished that, that opened up like all kinds of time for me to knit on other things, which actually need to be knit upon because they're gifts. So that's a good thing. So let me begin to show you some of the other things I've worked on. Let's see. First of all, I got back to the Patton's Croy socks because I did finally, I can't remember if this was, if I told you this last week or not. I don't think I did. I think maybe these came, I don't remember now. I'm getting my weeks confused. At any rate, I did get the extra 2 balls of Patton's Croy that I ordered from Craftsy. They ended up being the exact same dye lot and everything of the original 2 that I'd that I'd purchased from Craftsy, so all is well with colors. So I resumed knitting on these socks. I'm doing the cuff 7 inches, which is plenty long enough. It's a little, I usually do mine 5, sometimes 6, but like I said, my son likes them a little taller, so he's getting a 7-inch cuff, and I'm now on the heel flap. So this is the first sock. This is how much yarn I've got left, so definitely this will not get a full sock, but again, I've got 2 more extra balls now, and it'll be fine. I'm thinking I'm going to end up with a full ball left over, but that's okay. So anyway, this is the Patton's Croy Effects in the color, it's Canyon or something is the color name. Colorway 1506. So Canyon Colors is what it's called. And I'm knitting those on US 1.5s because it's a heavier weight yarn. It's more of a sport weight than a fingering. So these socks will work out just fine, thankfully, because I've had all these false starts with this yarn. All right, so I worked on those. And then the other thing I pulled out to work on, which I haven't worked on in a while, is this blanket that I'm doing for my other son. And I was going to measure it, and I didn't have a chance to, so I don't really know how long it is at this point. But it's getting there. I mean, it's a nice length. It comes, if I put it over me, like when I'm laying on the couch or something, I can put it starting at my feet, and it comes up to about mid-thigh. I know that probably doesn't really tell you much. I'm 5'4", if that helps. So I would say it's probably not quite 3 feet yet. Probably about 2 foot 8 inches, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing. But yeah, I'm coming right along with this. It is really soft and squishy. This is that yarn I got from Pat Catan's, and if you remember, I was going to try to get a couple more balls because I didn't think I had enough left to do, I didn't think I had enough to do the blanket as long as I wanted it to be. This is All Things You yarn, premium acrylic. It's 100% acrylic, bulky weight yarn. Well, I was up at Pat Catan's last week because I needed to grab a couple things, and I realized they once again rearranged stuff. They've decreased the size of their yarn department. Not that I ever shopped for a lot of yarn up there. I mean, I'd pick up some Patton's Croy occasionally or some dishcloth cotton, and I bought this. Well, they've gotten rid of a ton of yarn, and they've got different yarn that isn't exciting to me, but they did not have this at all. So I'm out of luck, I think, unless I can find it online somewhere if I want it. So I think I'm going to just try to make do with what I have. I'm pretty sure it'll be okay, but I don't know. We'll see. But I will just knit with what I have and call it a blanket. So this is that. It's going to need to be decatford before I give it to him. Although I'm making it so that his whole family can use it. Okay, so that is what I worked on. And then the other 3 things I worked on this week are all new cast-ons. Well, the one was like a second sock cast-on. But anyway, and I mentioned that last week. That was one of the things I mentioned that I needed to cast on was the second sock blank sock. So this is one of my Happenstance with Sparkle sock blanks. that I dyed last year, and then I started knitting it up. I have one sock finished already, which I don't have here. It's with all my show stuff on a sock blocker, so I'll be using that as a sample. But I did cast on the second sock, so I've got the ribbing, and I just have a row or two of the stockinette. So I will have this with me at the show, and I can knit on it, and I can show people this is what you do with the sock blank, because like I've said before, most people at shows don't seem to know what you do with sock blanks. So, sock blank sample, Hiya US ones that I think I stole from some other project. I've been doing that a lot lately. I went online again to try to order Hiya's, and I found them, and I started the process, and then squirrel, probably literally, walked away and never ordered them again. So I think this is the universe's way of telling me you've got enough sock needles, you just need to stop casting on 50 different pairs of socks at one time. All right, so cast on that second sock. Then I cast on 2 new socks, one of which is the other one that I showed you last week, which was this pink yarn. Oops, I'm losing stitches. This pink yarn that I dyed up specifically for my son who's getting the blanket, his girlfriend. Sorry, there's a lot of sun right here right now. Okay. Closer, maybe closer will work better. There we go. So it's a 4-stripe yarn with 2 different pinks, a silver and a white. And here's what it looks like as it's starting to get knit up. I did a really long ribbing on this up at the top. I've been doing this lately. I'm not sure why. I do not usually do such. I usually do about 9 rounds of ribbing. I'm trying to get the color to show up. There we go. I usually do about 9 rounds of ribbing and then just go into the rest of the sock. But for some reason, I've been really into like longer rib cuffs. And I'm actually not even sure I like it on this particular sock, but it's what I did, so that's what we're getting. I mainly wanted to get through those first 3 colors in the ribbing. So, yeah, I'm calling this Gotta Love Pink, because it's sort of inspired by the Victoria's Secret whole pink thing that I don't understand because I'm not cool enough to wear Victoria's Secret clothes. Anyway, here, I need to pick up these 3 stitches before they disappear on me. But I can't see them because I'm old and my eyes are bad. Hang on. Oh, 4 stitches. Okay. All right, there we go. Anyway, yep, so this is started. It'll be a Christmas gift. I am using those Sonics needles, again, just because I don't have any other Hiya's. And honestly, I'm not noticing the drag so much on the needles, which is what I've not liked about these before. Getting them up over the join, which I don't remember having a problem with before, has been a little bit of a tricky thing. Although once I get the first couple stitches up over, it goes on. It's not like a total struggle, but they're still not destined to be my favorite needles, but they're fine for what I'm doing for this sock. So this is my bedazzled base, so it's got the sparkle, and I do have some skeins of this, extra skeins that I dyed up at the same time. They'll be at the show this week, and eventually I will probably put them in the shop. So anyway, that is another sock project. So that's what, 3 sock projects. Guess what? There's a 4th one. This one you have not seen, although I did tell you a little bit about the yarn last week. I dyed up my Mountain House Autumn colorway, and I wound this into a ball because we were in the car and Bill was driving so that I could do this. So it's in a ball, but here's the colors. Aren't they awesome? Mountain House Autumn is a 6-stripe colorway, just like all my other Mountain House colors. There are 2 stripes in this one that are variegated stripes, so I wanted to knit a sample like I do for these kind of colorways when I put them up on the shop. So here's what it looks like knit up. So these 2 orangey stripes, this one and this one, are the 2 that are variegated. The one is darker than the other. Yeah, this one's darker than this one, but they are variegated stripes. Just because when you see leaves, a lot of times they're partly one color, partly another color, and that's what I was trying to emulate there. So let me just run you down through the colors. Basically, they're autumn colors. So you've got your brown, which is our house, because we've got the log home. So all my Mountain House colors have this brown color. And then all of the rest of these colors are for the beautiful leaves that we are just surrounded with. This was the perfect season to do this colorway, or to do a Mountain House colorway, frankly. And again, I did this long cuff. Look how long I knit this cuff. I did that, and then I'm just doing a modified vanilla bean slip stitch motif there. Like every time a color switches, I do anywhere between 3 and 5 slip stitches on either side of the sock. So I'm not doing it the whole way around. I'm just doing it occasionally just to mix it up a little bit. It's kind of the same thing I did on that Yakaboo cowl that I made during Stash Dash. So, you know, just a little bit of visual interest without doing the slip stitch rounds the entire time, every time the color changes. So anyway, I really only needed to do enough to show the colorway, but then I started knitting on it a lot because I really like these colors. These socks are going to be for me, but I am going to set them aside because I need to do gift knitting. But anyway, with regard to the Mountain House Autumn colorway, I had mentioned that I was putting some of this up in the shop as well as taking it to my show. So it did debut in the shop. I put, I don't remember, I think I had like 5 skeins on Bounce and 2 on Bedazzled maybe up in the shop. I believe there's 1 skein of Bounce left and 1 skein of Bedazzled left in the shop. So I don't remember which day I did this. I did it one day last weekend, maybe Sunday. So anyway, there's a couple up there yet. If you're interested, you can run over and probably grab them. And I will have more in coming weeks. Like I said, I'm taking a bunch to my show on Saturday. And so if there's any left from that, I may put that in the shop and then just dye up more for my next show. Because my next show is actually the second weekend in November. So I don't have a whole lot of time in between there to replenish stuff, but I think it'll be okay. But again, if you want the 2 that are up there, go run to the shop and grab them. Pause right now. All right. So that is everything I knit on this week. It's all the socks. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't really have a lot of other knitting related stuff to tell you this week. We've got our knit along going on, the year in the life of a knitter. We're in October. The October challenge is Craft with Deep Stash. So all of that information is up in the threads on the 90% knitting group for that. Thanks so much for your feedback and your interest in the designer-centric cowl that I talked about last week that I'm planning to do for 2018. It sounds like there's interest in that, and I am starting to get in touch with prospective designers to have them be featured. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping to get enough designers on board that I will be able to have 2 of them per 2-month period. But right now I'm just trying to at least get 1 lined up for each one and go from there. So stay tuned for more information about that. As for 10%, let's see, we were going to work on the car transmission last weekend. That never happened. You know how things happen, but we did work here all weekend, which was nice. I got a lot of dyeing done, and Bill ended up outfitting his 1 canoe, which he's taking with him this weekend on our paddling trip that we're going on. He's leaving tomorrow. I won't be leaving until Saturday after my show, which I'm still not entirely sure how well that's going to go to drive that far, but we'll see. It'll be fine. But anyway, he had some work he needed to do on that canoe, so he did that. I posted a picture on Instagram. We ended up redoing the seat because the caning in the seat, it's a solo canoe, so it's just a 1-seater, and the caning in it was really old and needed to be replaced. He didn't have any more caning though, but he had nylon strapping, so we actually did sort of a little weaving project with blue and red nylon straps. It was kind of fun, so we did that together. What else? I'm trying to think what else we did this weekend. You got, oh, the camper. We're taking one of our motorcycle campers with us. I mean, you can tow them behind the cars too, so we're towing it with the car. He'll be towing it with the car. I'm going separately. But this is actually a camper he bought a few years ago and has never used. It was a used camper and it needed some work, and so he decided to just, you know, do some routine maintenance on it, which led, you know, one thing leads to another, and so that's basically what got done this weekend. So the transmission is not getting done this weekend either because we won't be here So it'll probably be November, you know, or the last weekend in October, beginning in November, before he's out there working on this transmission. And with our luck, it'll end up getting to be freezing cold, and that's not going to be happy. But anyway, I did change all of my summer and winter clothes around last weekend. I love doing that. It was chilly, so it was seasonal to do that. I love changing my clothes around. Bill just leaves all his clothes out all year and just goes to the other closet to get them when he needs that season's clothes. I don't do that. But most of my clothes are not hanging clothes. Most of mine are folded in drawers and on shelves, so that's why. I don't know why you needed to know that. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. As far as shop news, I am vending this weekend at the Raggz Fiber Affair and Wool Market in Delmont, PA at the Delmont Fire Hall. It's a fabulous show. Please come out if you're in the area. There's going to be a lot of great vendors. It's going to be a beautiful weekend too. Great weekend for a drive if you'd like to come out to Western PA, Southwestern PA, and see the leaves. It's pretty. The leaves are turning and they're nice in a lot of areas. I mean, it's not the most vibrant fall we've had, but it's nice. So anyway, I'm doing that on Saturday, and then, as I said, I will be basically coming back up here, taking all my stuff out of my car, grabbing my gear for the paddling trip, and driving eastward to New Jersey. I can't remember the name of the place that we're going. I mean, it's the Pine Barrens, which is where this group of people goes every year to paddle. I'm trying to remember the name of the park or the forest. Is it Brendan Byrne State Forest, maybe? Does that sound right, New Jersey people? I don't know. It used to be called something else, I guess. But anyway, we're staying at a campground out there in that forest, I guess, and then paddling from there. So Bill will be out there, and he'll be paddling Saturday without me, and then I will get out there Saturday night, and then Sunday he and I will both paddle with the group. He will have my kayak with him already, and then we're staying Monday as well. So we'll get to paddle on Monday for a little while. It'll be an early day, though, because we need to drive back, and he needs to be at work early the next morning, and he has like a 2.5-hour drive because he has to be out in the field that day. So a lot of driving in our future. And that's the downside to doing it this way, is the fact that, like, we both have to drive. So number one, I get no knitting time in the car, but we're like driving 2 cars all that way. It's like a lot of gas and tolls and everything. So hopefully next year we won't have to do that. Rhinebeck is this weekend, and I am so sad that I'm not going to be there. Really sad. I mean, I couldn't have gone anyway just because I'm vending this weekend here. I don't think I'm going to do that next year. I don't know yet, because I don't know what the dates for Rhinebeck will be next year, and if it's going to overlap with this particular show, or if it's going to overlap with the canoe trip again. We never know those dates ahead of time until closer to the time. So I don't know, but I need Rhinebeck occasionally. So I think next year will probably be a Rhinebeck year for me, but not this year. But if you're going, please have a wonderful time. I'm sure a lot of you are on your way already if you're not a close by person. If you don't live close to Rhinebeck, I mean. So have a good time. Have some apple cider donuts for me and all the other good food, and nuzzle some sheep for me. Okay, let's see. I told you already about the Mountain House Autumn Skeins that are still up in the shop if you're interested. The last Legends, Myths, and Fairy Tales Club shipment is going to be going out by October 31st. It always goes out within the last 7 days of the month, so that will be heading out. Holiday Countdown sets are due to ship November 1st, so I cannot wait to get those out to you guys. And I also wanted to mention, both of my clubs now are going to be over once I ship this last installment of the Legends, Myths, and Fairy Tales Club. I do have new club ideas in mind. I haven't decided exactly when I'm going to start them, but I wanted to know, what would you think of doing a mini skein club? Are you guys interested in something like that? I would love to do a mini skein club, and like each set would be some sort of different theme. I don't know. I'm tossing an idea around about that. If there's interest, let me know, because I would love to know if there's interest for a mini skein club. And the other thing is, my next club, other than a mini skein club, I think I'm planning to do it. I haven't decided details on it yet, but instead of offering it as either yarn or fiber or like lightweight yarns or heavyweight yarns, I think what I might do is have it so that it can be, your choices can be either yarn or fiber or sock blanks. Because I know I've had interest in having another sock blank club, but I don't know that I want to do another sock blank club right now. I might. I don't know. Let me know what you think, because I'm still in the planning stages and I can adjust things at this point. So let me know what you think or what you would be interested in for upcoming clubs, because I definitely take that kind of stuff into consideration. So I think that's everything. I'm going to go because, again, I'm waning. My energy is just not here right now. And I have some work to do, last minute show prep stuff. I was going to try to dye a couple of last minute things today, but I don't think I will. I do this every time I have a show. I get to like 2 days before the show and it's like, oh, but I have to dye this and I have to dye this. And and my daughter, when she was still home, she used to be like the one to rein me, and she'd be like, no, you don't have to do that. You've got enough. And I do. I have a ton of stuff. It's all organized up at my house. My house, not here, because that's where most of my show stuff is. That's the other thing. Oh my gosh, getting ready for this show. I basically had to take half of yesterday, go to my house, and gather all of my show stuff, because the yarn stuff was here. So I had to drag all the yarn to that house, and then gather all of my setup stuff, like my grid wall and all my other things, my samples. Those were all still back there. So after this show, everything's just going to be up here, and that'll be so nice. I won't have to figure out where everything is. So wow, I'm sorry. It's really, really bright. I'm not sorry that the sun's out, because it's really nice, but I know that's kind of glary on the screen. Anyway, so yeah, it's just, I have some last minute show stuff to get ready. Tomorrow, then I will be, well, like I said, Bill's leaving tomorrow for the canoe trip. I will be here most of the day. One of my girlfriends is coming over for a while. It's fun. Like, I've had family come visit me here since I've lived here, but none of my friends have gotten to come up yet, because we just haven't been able to find time that works for everybody, and nobody lives close to here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing my one girlfriend. She's coming up, and then after she leaves, I have to go back to my house, because again, I have to load my car with all the show stuff, and then I'll just spend the night there, and then Saturday morning I'll go to the show. My son's going to help me set up and tear down so that I don't have to juggle grid wall by myself. And then yeah, and then the rest of the weekend will proceed the way I already told you it was going to, so I won't repeat that. But I've got a lot to do yet today, and I'm going to make myself some more tea, grab another handful of oyster crackers, those little saltini kind of oyster crackers. I love those, and thankfully I had some in the house, because that's about all I can really stomach today. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I might take a nap later. I say that kind of laughing, because I know I probably won't, but I'd like to take a nap later. Okay, that's all. Have a lovely weekend, especially if you're going to be at Rhinebeck. Have a great time. I think the weather's going to be fabulous. I hope it's not too hot for your Rhinebeck sweaters. And I will look forward to hearing all your Rhinebeck tales and seeing all your Rhinebeck pictures this weekend. And then I will talk to you next weekend. So take care. Bye.